You arrive before sunrise at a facility that does not announce its purpose, where the gate is unmarked, and the guard checks your name against a list without looking at your face. And when you step inside, the air feels still, conditioned, carrying the faint smell of dust and paper that has not been moved in years. A generator hums somewhere behind concrete walls, steady and mechanical, and you are handed an ID card with no rank, no insignia, just a number that replaces your name the moment it touches your hand, then directed down a corridor of identical metal doors under fluorescent lights that flicker just enough to remind you that nothing here is designed for comfort, only function. And you enter a room where a dozen others sit in silence, eyes forward, no introductions, no acknowledgement, just waiting, because waiting is the first test, and you understand that quickly. Questions have no place here, only compliance. Forms are placed in front of you, dense with language that extends beyond your service and into your lifetime, and beyond it, clauses that bind you to silence without ever explaining what you are being kept silent about, and you sign because there is no alternative. Presented, your phone is taken, your watch removed, time itself no longer something you control, but something issued back to you in rigid segments. 500 wake, 700 meal, 1300 meal, 1900 meal, 2200 lights out, days measured in repetition rather than purpose, and the first weeks pass in windowless rooms where screens display fragments of intercepted reality, faces without context, conversations without origin, maps without borders, and you are asked to observe, to identify patterns, to make connections that may or may not exist, and no one tells you if you are correct, no one corrects you, no one encourages you, the silence around your performance becoming heavier than any direct criticism could be, because it forces you to question your own judgment without guidance, and slowly the tasks evolve. Translation becomes tracking. Tracking becomes prediction, and by the second year, you are allowed outside under supervision, moving through crowded markets and transit hubs, learning how to exist without being noticed, how to adjust your posture, your pace, your expression so that no one remembers you even seconds after you pass them, and you are given identities, not one but many, each with documentation, histories, small inconsistencies. You must memorize and defend, tested without warning by strangers who know exactly where your story should break, and every hesitation is recorded somewhere you will never see. And responsibility increases, but clarity does not. Directives arrive with language that is precise in wording, but vague in intent. Observe, influence, neutralize risk, and you learn that interpretation is the real task, that the system is built not on explicit orders, but on how you choose to understand them. And that choice carries weight that is never acknowledged directly, because if the outcome is useful, it is absorbed into the system as intended, and if it is not, it remains your decision alone, and you begin to understand the structure not as a hierarchy, but as layers, compartments that overlap without fully connecting, departments that operate in parallel realities, files that exist in multiple versions depending on who is reading them, budgets that move through channels designed to disappear, 20 crore rupees allocated to operations that officially do not exist, accounts opened and closed within 60 days, equipment routed through intermediaries whose names never appear twice, and you learn the unspoken rules that govern survival here. Never ask for complete clarity because it signals inexperience. Never document everything because deniability is a form of protection. Never be the first to act, but never be the last to respond. And within these boundaries, you practice what is never formally taught, but always expected: creative compliance, shaping your actions to fit directives that were never fully defined. And over time, the work begins to reshape you in ways that are subtle enough to ignore. At first, calls home become shorter because you can explain your day. Conversations reduce to simple confirmations of presence. Relationships adjust without confrontation, distance becoming routine rather than exception. And you begin to measure people not by who they are, but by how predictable they are. how they move, how they respond under pressure, your mind running constant calculations, even in moments of rest, waking at 2 o'clock without reason as scenarios replay automatically. Entry points, exit routes, contingencies, layered over each other, and you cannot turn it off because there is no switch, only momentum, and colleagues exist around you, but not with you. Interactions. Defined by function rather than familiarity, trust limited to operational reliability, and isolation becomes not a condition.